Good afternoon from the Richmond Olympic Oval for our second straight game. This one is between Germany and Sweden. We're about 2.5 minutes away from tip-off. And Tim, we've got some stakes coming into this one with Colombia's win over Brazil. That gives them 2 wins. Right now, Sweden has 2 wins, so it puts a little bit of pressure on the Swedes. And the Germans as well have 3 wins, so this is a big game in terms of stakes for both teams. But I'd say a little more pressure on Sweden, but that isn't to say that the Germans don't have anything to play for either.
Well, Sweden has struggled a little bit in this tournament, lost a couple of close ones. They've had a bit of bad luck, I guess, but overall, a solid squad. The Germans have really overperformed. They're playing much above their world ranking, which is 11. Sweden ranked 8, of course. So this will be a very exciting match. It's youth versus experience. The youth of Germany versus the experience of Team Sweden. Yeah,
the Swedish roster is largely composed of guys that when I first called this event in 2014, it's mostly the same team. They have some great individual performers. Sandberg, Lindberg, Hildebrand is good. Their whole roster, even though it's not the biggest, is a lot of notable names and good individuals.
And number 22, Thomas Yurt, really the one to watch on Sweden, as he really plays above his class in terms of responsibility and ball handling. And Stefan Jansson, number 13 for Sweden. He's a very, very clever, aggressive player. Excellent job as a Class 1. For Germany, Marco Erbst, number 1, their primary ball carrier, is one to watch for sure. But my personal favorite is number 5, Josko Wilke, the up-and-coming youngster. He's done a great job for Germany all week long.
Excuse me if I get my Wilke and Becca mixed up during the broadcast. Hard to say that 5 times fast, especially for me. But we are set to get underway, and Hirt will take
referees. Colin. The referees for the game: Kevin Caldwell from Canada and Claudia Rota from Switzerland.
As we have a quick turnover for the Swedes, it's Hirt who the ball kind of rolled off his wheel, and the Germans will take the early turnover 3 seconds in and start from the backcourt as Wilke gets it over the top to Hirt. Becca with him as well, as they are establishing their position in the offensive zone. Swedes collapse defensively as Sandberg making it difficult, but undaunted Hirt, as you mentioned, starts the offense off for the Germans, and they do take advantage of that Swedish turnover. Sweden's getting the ball, and they almost turned over. Sandberg confidently lobs one up ahead. Oh! It looked like that would be a catch for Sweden, but it doesn't work. And
wasn't much
Jansen
arc.
Wasn't able to field that one in.
A lot of arc on that ball, and
it looked like Jansen, kind of the way the pass was thrown, looked more confident than perhaps he was, and missed that one. So 2 turnovers by the Swedes, and that's
Marco Erbst, number
1. Erbst able to get ahead, make a nice shift here, and is able to score the second try of this early game. So 44 seconds in, the Germans have taken advantage of costly Swedish mistakes, and let's see if the Swedes can rebound as Erbst hard on the Swede, but it's lobbed ahead there, and that looks like could be a turnover. Jansen able to field it in though, so a rocky start for the Swedes, and now they're being swarmed here. Are they going to find out a way out of this one? No, nope. Let's see here.
I don't know what the call is going to be, but Sandberg reached in and grabbed that ball, and with it came the hand of Marco Erbst, so he'll go to the penalty box.
Erbst, yeah. So
good job by Tobias Sandberg to help out his teammate.
Sandberg now with the ball, working his way into the offensive zone, as trying to take advantage of the advantage, taking his time.
Sweden will force Erbst to be the inbounder, so that's a good defensive move.
And now he will inbound with Erbst. Lob over the top to Wilke. Erbst takes it in the air, that slow roller, and one-hands it up ahead, and Wilke able to get it in.
Well, Sweden slacking off a little bit on defense there, not really hard on the chair deep in the court, allowing the German team to make those passes pretty well unscathed. And nice job, Erbst, up to Wilke.
Ooh, and it looks like they may have caused another turnover here. So 3 a minute and a half in. Let's see, and it is, oh no, it is a Swedish ball, excuse me.
Those corner throw-ins, though, always dangerous.
Sandberg out with it. One hands it to Jansen, fields it into his body.
Now that is the Sandberg to Jansen play that we're used to seeing.
So it's a one-score game, and Germans, of course, in possession of the ball. Wilke. Is he going to be the inbounder? No, he won't.
It'll be Riedel inbounding.
Riedel able to try and beat the heat, but he's forced by Sandberg. Reached in on Hart. One hands it ahead into traffic. The Swedes do a good job of colliding with the German there, and that is a turnover. So I thought he might use the timeout there, but they didn't. And this game gets interesting early on here, as now the Germans have turned it over. Can the Swedes tie?
This may be Sweden's opportunity to get some momentum going and to atone for that earlier turnover.
Sandberg with the ball now. Wheeling ahead, it looks like he's got a free path to score, and that's exactly what he does here. So the game has evened up. The Germans still have possession though, and an advantage here. Wilke, Riedel, Wilke. Oh, pass up ahead, and it does get through. It looked like a little double coverage pass, but helps able to wheel in. He saw something that I didn't see there, but a nice play by the Germans to take the 4-3 lead. And now the Swedes with the ball. Thomas hurt, but down is a German player. I didn't see who that was.
I wonder what the call is going to be against Germany, I believe. As Riedel looks like he's going to the penalty box. He must have reached in and grabbed Yurt's arm, I should say. Thomas Yurt, number 22 for Sweden.
I thought I may have been the contact on Helps there, but...
Take a look at the replay, and we just saw the reason that Yurt lost that ball was because Riedel reached in early on the play.
Looks a little hard on the shoulder there as he was coming down, but... Swedes with the ball now. It's Hirt. Spinning, opening up a lane. Sandberg helping him out in the middle. Now sets a pick. Enables him to get a middle lane, and Hirt will take advantage of that. Looking around, making sure his team is in defensive posture before he scores, and now he does. And Riedel will inbound again for the Germans. Throws it up and ahead, but his man Helps was contacted, and that forces a turnover here.
Well, that's the thing. If you're going to throw a lead pass, you better make sure there's no chance for contact, because every time there's contact, the chair gets twisted, turned, held up a little bit, and that ball just sails harmlessly out of bounds. And Sweden with a big break here.
So a couple turnovers each way early on into this game, and Sandberg in the offensive zone. Jansen giving him a pick as he comes in slowly wide. Gets a nice pass in the middle there, and that is Lofgren able to score for the Swedes. Up ahead, Helps as the Germans in possession there made a quick offensive play, and that one worked to perfection. So it's clear, as you say, the straw that stirs the drink for the German is Helps. He's got 4 of the 5 points so far. 4:51 to go in the opening quarter. A tie game, 5-5. Both teams with a couple turnovers early in this one.
Lofgren declaring himself the inbounder, having to wheel the length of the court. Nice
Inbound he does in double coverage. Sandberg had that rejected out of his hands by Wilke.
You know, I'm not a big fan of that pass in
double coverage tight to the court.
Well, I don't care about the double coverage so much, but when you're so close to the end line like that and so close to the sideline, you know, basically you've got 4 people checking you, and there's not a lot of room there for error.
Jansen, what a great play over the top and in the middle. And Hurt is able to score, so good play there by the Swedes, and they take the 6-5 lead, so it's been back and forth early on.
Well, possessions and momentum will be the tail of this game for sure.
Helps takes contact from Jansen. Lovgren trying to cut him off, doesn't have the speed to do it. And Vilka is able to score, so tying the game back up. Lovgren is able to get it ahead. Hirt wheeling ahead. Finds a wide lane. He's got a man with him in Sandberg. He's just going to take it himself.
Sometimes in those 2-on-1s you see the defensive player try to force a pass. That time Vilka just turning away and getting set for his own next possession.
It's not what you make, it's what you leave sometimes, I guess. He's able to get it ahead. It looked like it was slightly tipped, but Helps able to get it. Now he's in double coverage, but able to slide a nice pass in the middle to Vilka. Over the top, and Vec is able to score for the Germans. We're tied at 7. Sandberg from deep in his own end, over the top to Hirt, and that is a nice. The Swedes, are so smooth out of their own zone, so confident in the pace of game. It seems like they don't need to be going at 100 miles an hour, but are very confident in the offensive part of the game. It seems like.
Well, they're a very patient, experienced squad up against a German squad who have really been performing well here at the tournament.
Helps negotiates 3 Swedes, gets a nice pick there, and is able to score, so that's a nice offensive play, but also a good pick from Riedel there.
And Lofgren a little slow getting back on defense. That leaves that corner wide open.
Sandberg one hooks it into traffic, but here is able to reel it in as Vilka was on him, but able to get away.
So Sweden is solving the German press here with a series of long passes. Sandberg to Yurt.
Helps. Back the other way. Slowly surveying his options. What'll he do here? He spins back and forth. He's got a few men with him. Probably just waiting for a pick as he shimmies and shakes. Spins and spins again. Around the outside, trying to get the middle wide lane over the top, and there's a call. Is that a penalty?
I think it was 10 seconds in the key on Riedel, and that'll be a turnover, I believe. Yes, it is, and it's a corner throw-in for Sweden. Tough spot to be in, but it's better to have the ball than not.
Yeah, 1-score lead is Sandberg. One hands it, working in that corner as we mentioned. Slips one up ahead to Hirt. Able to get by the first man. Now lob one ahead to Jansen, who's in the backcourt. Easy fielder for him. So the Swedes were quickly down by 2 to start this quarter. Now have a 2-point lead, 10-8 with 2:57 to go in the opening quarter.
So a rookie mistake, 10 in the key by the German squad, allows Sweden a little bit of momentum here.
Helps trying to stem that. It throws one in the backcourt to Vecke. And Vecke able to score.
Janssen giving him a little push to make sure he gets over the line and let him know that he's there.
Lovgren again with the inbound. Sandberg trying to back his way. Now spin to the middle. Gets it over to Hirt. He's got Janssen with him on the wide side. Doesn't pass it right away. Just wheels himself over center. Nice pick there by Janssen. At first he was a passing option. When he realized it wasn't coming, did a good job of doing the next best option, which was the pick.
Well, I was wondering when he was going to come back and make that crack block. He had an opportunity early on and then a second opportunity and didn't miss that one.
Vilka contacted hard by 2 Swedes, but lobs it over the top there to Vecke.
Good try by Yurt to try to get Vecke to go over the line before he received the ball, but nice play by Germany.
Oh, a long swat there by the Swedes out of their own zone. Jansen the recipient of that, and he's got a man ahead of the play. That's Sandberg.
And what a great example for all those up-and-coming rugby players, and in fact any team sport. You know, pass the ball to where you think the player is going to be and not to where he is. And look at Janssen there doing just that.
Lovgren with a couple nice inbounds. Ooh, man. He takes a timeout as the German player was contacted coming out of backcourt. Looked like he was almost going to pop over at one point, was able to reestablish himself.
To be a Sandberg, what great sportsmanship there. If he'd have just kept pushing forward a little bit, he would have dumped Vilka. Probably also got the penalty, but that may have hurt him as well. As soon as Vilka's chair went up on Sandberg, Sandberg held his ground, didn't move, and waited for the recovery to take place. Excellent sportsmanship.
Now the Germans in possession of the ball. It's Vilka throws it into open court, and can they rescue it? No, they can't. So that's another turnover by the Germans. The Swedes a chance to build on their 2-point lead.
Well, number 22, Thomas Yurt, pushing Vilka and spinning his chair, causing that pass to go awry, and called a timeout called by Team Germany here.
And sneaking suspicion that we may have a few subs for the Germans, but we'll wait and see.
We'll take a moment to, as we watch Coach Lebrecht talking to Stefan Janssen, thank BC Wheelchair Sports Association, Wheelchair Rugby Canada, and of course the International Wheelchair Rugby Federation, our government sponsors, our province of BC, Government of Canada, Sport Canada, Richmond Sport Hosting, and the Richmond Olympic Oval. And we'll get to our corporate sponsors a bit later, Colin.
So it turns out I'm wrong. I don't think there is substitutions. I thought with the few turnovers that we've seen in the timeout that may be a decent time, but apparently not, and we'll see what goes on in the future here.
We'll see if that timeout can stop the momentum flow of Sweden's way and turn it to German advantage.
Sandberg gets a pick from Janssen, trying to get in the middle over the top there, and Hurt is able to put it in. So the Swedes indeed do capitalize, and it's a 3-point lead with 1:32 to go, 13-10. Now the Germans having a little bit of trouble getting out of their own zone. They're able to get it through, and Helpst has it. Now he spins back. He's looking for some help as he's got a man trapped backcourt here. Circling, and we're in clock management time. Helpst trying to find the lane himself. Now Riedel in there to help him out. He's getting a countdown as he spins and spins again. Ultimately, he does get it to Vilka, and he scores.
Well, it was excellent one-on-one defense by number 22, Yurt, but in a 3-on-2 situation, there's always going to be someone open, and Herbst wisely spots teammate Vecca.
Sandberg, 47 seconds to go, working his way up from backcourt. He's able to get it ahead to Hurt. Back to Sandberg, 37 to go. Bouncing the ball.
So there is about a 12-second differential between the possession clock and the game clock. Sweden with 4 timeouts left. We'll see if they choose to use one, or will they save it.
20.
So they will use one of their on-court timeouts with 14 seconds on the game clock in order to have the opportunity for a last try.
Is that a strategy you'd employ there, or would you rather just...
Well, with 4 left, I think it's not a bad idea to get that momentum and keep that momentum, and going into the quarter with a 3-try lead would be good.
Sandberg looking to facilitate that. Over the top there to Hurt. Getting a countdown, but he does take it in with 4 seconds left.
And it will be Sweden's ball to start the second quarter, so even smarter play. So well done by Sandberg.
Do the Germans have a buzzer beater in them? Let's see. He's got 4 seconds.
Oh, they got a long way to go if they do. I think Yurt's quite sure what happened there. I missed the.
I missed that as well.
I missed why it was Sweden ball, but perhaps I think, Colin, what's happening is there's another game going on in the other court. There's the invitational tournament of club teams happening here, as you can see on the monitor. And every once in a while I hear a whistle from down there, and I think it's from here, and I'm looking around going, what happened?
Yeah, I was wondering which teams those were, as there wasn't any court twos to be played. I didn't actually know that was happening, but as we see a good ball battle there, won by Sandberg.
Sandberg very careful not to draw or cause the penalty by himself there. You see that play where Herbst went down in the arms of Yurt and no call.
I'd say that this game, as compared to the last one we did between Brazil and Colombia, is a little more maybe methodical, not quite as a rampant of pace, but there was still a few turnovers, and maybe that's each team just getting out the early jitters. We'll see, because Sweden actually turned it over right after tip-off, and then one time soon after, and then the Germans turned it over a few times, and Sweden was able to get a 14-11 lead. And like you said, that's big because they have the ball to start the quarter as well. So.
Absolutely, and we'll take a moment to thank Vesco, our rugby and day chair sponsor. A lot of athletes here at the tournament sponsored by Vesco. They've been a long-time rugby sponsor, and their chairs are outstanding. And you see the hits that are happening out there, Colin, and they
better chairs there.
They better be well built. Moulton, of course, the official wheelchair rugby ball, as well as a number of balls for Paralympic and Olympic sports. House lager being served at the beer garden at the end of the Richmond Olympic Oval here. You can come and have a beer, watch the game, and you can actually go into the stands and enjoy a beer watching the game. The Marriott Vancouver Airport Hotel had a great sleep there the last few nights, and the Sheraton Vancouver Airport Hotel, meals served there and accommodation for athletes. Outstanding hosting.
Yes, it is a good facility, and as we were mentioning on the last broadcast, everything is not only world class but so close together, so it really makes it a good fit here.
So German are desperately in need of a bit of a momentum breaker here. They need it on their side.
Wilke up ahead. He's got his man open, and Vecca is able to put it in. So Germans close the gap 20 seconds into the second quarter. Lovgren, an inbounder, and he does quite a good job of a short game for an inbounder, I find. Sandberg wheeling away, he's got Jansen cross court, and he finds him. You can see the chemistry between those two, as you were mentioning, Tim.
Well, Jansen does a great job of getting wide, either to the left or the right, and then he's able to wheel onto those passes and pick them off easily.
Also an advantage of playing together for so long. Chemistry's there right away, as Helpst, who was the German catalyst during that first quarter, has it again. A nice pass over the top to Vecca. And again, that's his second straight try for the German team. 7:15 into the second quarter.
So the Germans desperately needing a score, stop, score sequence here to get some momentum.
And they come ahead. Here are the Swedes. That's some good speed. Almost a spin as he's slowed up a little bit, but that is a nice score there for the Swedes, and they're back up by 4.
Good job by Herbst to avoid contact. Or evade contact, I should say.
And he's able to be on the business end of that one, so a couple quick tries by both teams. Lovgren gets it up and ahead. He's in trouble here. He spins back, and he's able to beat the heat there. As Thomas Hurt goes down, now he goes back court and finds Jansen. Here to Jansen. No substitutions for either team as of yet.
I don't think we'll see a lot of shift changes here.
Wilke to Vecca.
We may see Hildebrand for Sweden later on, but for now they're going with the veteran Lofgren.
Helpst. As swing collapse, Sandberg tried to make his life difficult, but maybe he's not the thickest guy, but he's got shifty speed as he gets in tight there. And the Swedes back the other way as Sandberg gets a short inbound. He's got Jansen wide again. Jansen again realizing he's not going to get it. Contacts his man, Wilke, and he goes down, and the Germans want a spin call. Are they going to get it?
I don't think so. I think we'll probably, if we get a chance to look at the replay, we'll probably see that he pretty well hit the front part of the wheel, and Wilke's chair rode up on top of the wings on the front of Jansen's chair. And there it is.
As we see him go, he went down ever so slowly, and those are almost the worst falls when they're happening, and you know you can't stop him, but you want to. And
Wilke, I think, was in control as he fell, so
helps.
He'll stay in the game.
Riedel trying to give him a pick in the backcourt, gets a little piece of his man. Helps reach in on, goes over the top. And who was that on the business end for the Germans?
It was Wilke, the recipient of the alley-oop.
And Sandberg double teamed here, looking for a play. He's able to find Hirt. Jansen.
So the Germans on defense, gambling that they can pin Hirt and Sandberg in the back court, leaving Jansen all alone.
Wilke getting a reached in on there. And Hirt, I don't know, is that a penalty?
I believe it'll be a penalty for on the arm. We'll take a look at the replay, and there it is. Nice job by Marco Herbst of turning his arm over on the ball and drawing that penalty.
Helps. Wilke with him in behind. Vecca on the top end. Now just trying to trap the man in the box. The Germans eventually do score, so it's a 3-point lead, 20-17, 5:17 to go in the second quarter.
So Thomas Hirt forced to declare himself as the inbounder, takes away
An
a
inbound
speedy player, but gives him a good passer.
I was going to say that's a great inbound. Sandberg got a man all over. It's Wilke making his life miserable, but he's able to still contend with that and make the try.
See if Team Germany uses that tactic again. Should Hirt take a penalty?
Helps to long lob ahead. Wilke, can he get that? Yes, he can. As he one-arms it to himself. Oh, that was maybe a little bit of a risky play there, as it looked like he had a good line on the ball the first time before he tipped it over. Ultimately,
he tried to bounce it back to himself.
Bounced and then lost it.
He was in danger of rolling out of bounds, and that's a big break for Team Sweden.
Sandberg trying to fight off his men in the backcourt, is able to do so. Now shifts to the inside. Good bounce of the ball as he gets over center. Where's Jansen?
He did not get over center, Colin. I just took a look at the possession clock as he was coming up, and he did not quite make it in the 12 seconds. So
I was ahead of myself. I was already looking for Jansen in the backcourt, and I think he was too.
So Germany, after that turnover, dodges a bit of a potential momentum shift, and we'll get the ball back.
Swedes collapsing into the zone defense helps. Takes the ball wide now, trying to cut to the middle. Gets a few picks, but he's able to find a little lane and make that count. So they've closed the gap to 3-4. 26 to go, second quarter. Lovgren. Short one over the top. Sandberg always does a great job of supporting in close, and he does again there. Long lob ahead. There's his man Jansen. That's what they were trying to do before last time where he didn't get over center. This time they're able to make it work, though.
They made the pass quite a bit sooner. And Germany's not doing a very good job of tying Sandberg up in his own end, allowing him to pass freely.
Well, Andy, I'm amazed for an offensive guy how far he comes back and is able to make those long plays every time almost, it seems, as the Germans are going to be able to score. It's Vecca here. He had Jansen in his back pocket, but was able to contend with him.
Oh, Jansen better be careful because he has to give a meter to allow him back in the court.
Sandberg again, that deep play that we're always talking about, takes the ball this time over center. And gets a pick from Hirt. Slows it down, makes sure that the defensive end is taken care of before he does score. And Vilka will inbound, or yes, he will for the Germans. Vilka. Got Vilka low court. He's also got another man open. That's Helps. But he does go to Vilka, and he is able to get it in. So I thought he was going to go to Helps there, but he didn't.
Huge crack block at center by Vilka. So not only is he a ball handler and a passer, he's also a great picker as well.
Short pass back by Jansen, a little bit risky. Hirt's able to contend with it. He's got a lane now. Helps trying to get him, but again, Jansen backcourt is able to convert for the Swedes.
Well, Jansen, speedy class 1 for Team Sweden, number 13.
Into the wheels of Vilka to Helpst.
So neither team able to get any momentum happening here. There were a couple of potential shifts, but each team let the other off the hook.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There was times where, especially at the start of the quarter, the Swedes looked like they had a lot of momentum their way, but weren't able to fully capitalize and open up the lead.
Oh, Herbst, I believe. Oh boy, he's lucky he didn't get a penalty for that because he landed in Sandberg's lap. And he tipped the ball out of bounds. Not a bad little play to tip the ball out of bounds, though, as it forces that corner throw in. And when you're throwing in on the end after a try, you can run the end line and create a bit of space for yourself. But in the corner, there's a bit less space and a bit less opportunity to inbound the ball.
But it is Sandberg starting out with possession. Lovgren, of course, the inbounder, giving it to him. Starting out wide, contended with by Helps, who reached in, got a little swat on the ball, but Sandberg able to keep possession. So good effort by Helps to try to take it, but he wasn't able to.
Yeah, great job by Sandberg to hang on there as the ball was knocked out of his lap. And
especially when you're getting it from
too.
the side, yeah. When you're getting it from the side, maybe a little harder to contend with or see the contact coming, but veteran player. This is lobbed ahead by the Germans, and Vecke spinning back on his man, that's Lovgren. Now he's got an outside lane. Here trying to cut him off, but he can't do it.
Well, Vecke showing a little burst of speed there as he goes around Thomas Yurt, who's earlier on we were praising him for his great one-on-one defense against Marco Herbst. That time he let Vecke right by.
Here, he's got Jansen. It's his turn to play the passing role, and
That's right.
Vilka, hard up and ahead, little slow, but Vecke able to get it. Gets it to Elbst, fights off Jansen and scores.
So heads up play by young Josko Vilka there to spot Beck deep in the court, bypassing any backcourt hassles, and of course Herbst comes in to support his teammate and score the try.
Again, a pretty methodical pace to this quarter as well.
Nothing really decided as it's still a 3-try lead for Sweden. 26-23, Colin. Only just over a couple minutes left though.
Jansen,
so clock management will come into it here.
Jansen having his tire worked on. Piers is a quick fix and he's good to go.
I like that he's got the blue tires too, matching his uniform. Country colors.
Sandberg, Jansen, a familiar refrain.
Kind of interesting too that Jansen, number 13 here, playing in a primarily offensive style chair as a class 1. And you can see why as he scores that try.
Vilka in control of the ball. Is Jansen trying to contend on the wide side, so he comes up to the middle. Sandberg and Hirter there to try to stop him, but they can't do it. 1:48 to go, second quarter. 27-24 for the Swedes.
Good job by Germany to hold Janssen out of the play. That gives a little more space in the key for wily attackers like Herbst.
Some good pressure down court by the Germans, but Geert able to beat the heat a couple times. Now they're locking him up just over center. He drops it off for Sandberg, who's eased off on now as the Germans clap back right to their goal line. Geert's trying to help him. He comes wide side. Riedel, the last line of defense there. Comes over to the near side and in coverage makes a great pass to Geert. So you got to know that in this game, those long arms really do help.
And Vecca was draped all over Geert that time. Good job by Thomas Geert to reel that one in.
Riedel up ahead to Herbst. Killing a little bit of time. And he backs in. 1:01 to go. 3-point game, so not much has changed in this quarter in terms of the spread.
I think Herbst would have liked to take another 5 or 6 seconds off that clock, but
it seemed like he wanted to, and then when he got pressured, he's just like, oh, I'll take what I can get.
The two Swedes were going to push him over regardless, so.
Janssen usually in backcourt. This time he's in a defensive posture. He throws it across to Geert. Got a man in his grill, gets it to Sandberg, and I said he was in backcourt, but look how quick he gets to front court as Janssen there is able to work on the business end once again.
So Sweden there scoring quickly. Germany will likely have a last opportunity to score here, but either way, a bit of a moral victory for Sweden.
Bilke. Sandberg contacts him hard. He goes wide. He's got Janssen in his back pocket. Spins off him, fakes a pass. Reels in the ball as he's contacted. Goes to Herbst. Starts his motor running and spins. Looking for a pick. He can't find one, so the Swedes doing a good job of contending Herbst so far. Herbst across to the other side. Gets it to Vilka. Nice pass. It's rejected, but is that going to count anyways?
The referee is waving that one off. It was tipped out of bounds by Thomas Geert, I believe.
Yeah, it didn't look like he put that in himself.
Vilka very lucky there, as it'll be Germany ball. Sideline inbound.
16.1 to go. 4-point lead for the Swedes.
So Germany can cut it to 3 here, and then they get first possession in the third quarter.
And right back where we started, I believe, after the first.
So Germany calls a timeout here to get their play worked in, as this is a very critical juncture of the game. If they can claw within 2, then perhaps the Swedish team will start to think about it and look over their shoulders and maybe make a couple of mistakes.
Both teams have a few timeouts. Of course, the one the Swedes used was at the end of that first quarter, which was a well-executed one.
And Germany using one here for a similar purpose, not time-wise, but certainly strategy-wise. So we'll see if they're able to capitalize on this timeout and implement the play that the coach has drawn up.
Can they do it here? Quick inbound. Herbst. Trying to jam it through, and it looks like he'll be able to. There was 2 Swedes there, but they couldn't contend with it.
Sandberg will inbound.
Oh!
He's got the long arm.
Janssen looks like he contacted a German player. I'm not sure if that was I think it was Birke who's down. It kind of happened off the screen. I was looking near court for the inbound, and then it happened kind of.
The Swedish set play off of being scored on late in the quarter is for Sandberg to inbound long to Janssen, and Janssen that time electing to set a pick and make chair contact instead of going deep. We saw Sweden earlier in the tournament, Colin, score with 1.6 seconds to go on the clock, so big break for Germany here.
Helps. 5 seconds to go. Gets it nicely, and
here comes that play. There it is, a long bomb.
But it is, and oh, what a great play as the Swedes were able to execute that.
Boy, oh boy.
So
Germany had such an opportunity there. They could have drawn within 2. They would have had next possession.
And Kiert isn't usually the one that goes long there, so I'm curious to see why that wasn't to the Jansen. He's usually the guy who does it, but.
Well, definitely Sandberg is the passer. However, Yurt with his speed advantage over Janssen took off that time because they know what they're going to do, so there's no point in staying in the backcourt. Great play by Sweden to maintain the momentum over Germany.
That's twice in both quarters, where first was a timeout, second was a long play. So you mentioned the veteran savvy, and there you do see it firsthand.
And I'm surprised at Germany for not sending a player back to prevent that, because Sweden does that every single time. If I know it,
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't study game film like the Germans and some of the other teams do, or all the other teams should. They should know what to expect. So great play by the veteran Swedish squad under the tutelage of Coach Benoit Lebrecq, former Canadian national team coach. Been coaching in Sweden for quite some time now, and has his veteran squad well schooled in the strategies and tactics.
I'm almost a little surprised. I don't know the entirety of all the teams, but just knowing Sweden and seeing them myself, I'm a little surprised they only did have one win coming into this one.
Well, they were unlucky not to win a few more games. We take a look at some of their scores. I mean, obviously Canada and France handled them quite easily, but they only beat Switzerland by 4, so that was a close one. They lost to Colombia by 1, and really, they were really flat in that game. And Colombians, I think it was the first game of the tournament, I think, for both teams. And Sweden came out flat, Colombia came out excited, and next thing you know, it's a W in the win column for the lower ranked team. Sweden ranked number 8 in the world, Germany ranked 11, and so far it's playing out more or less in that fashion. There was a lot of the game left to go, though, and we just saw that those momentum shifts in the last couple minutes shift both ways. So anything can happen.
Yeah, ultimately the Swedes able to stem the tide, and we bring that back to their veteran savvy a little bit, doing it in different ways. So we'll see. I'm anxious to see if there's maybe a few substitutions. So far, both the lineups have remained the same through the entire first half.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see too many changes. Germany has some nice young talent, but they're a bit inexperienced.
And the Swedes don't have a big bench to begin with. I think they only started with 8. So
no, that's true. Sweden and Switzerland both with short benches. So coming up at 2 o'clock, it'll be France versus Canada. That'll come to you on cbcsports.ca as well as the Canadian Paralympic Committee Facebook page. Switzerland will take on Colombia at 4 o'clock. And the last game of the day, 6 o'clock, Brazil and Sweden. Will be doing that one for sure. And by that time, we might have a little bit better idea as to who the teams might be. Right now, it's still up for grabs. We do know Canada and France will be in the qualification games.
And do you think these teams, before they play, I know the picture's still unclear, but do you think they kind of know exactly kind of what's at stake, or their coaches talking to them before? Do the players know? What do you think?
Well, I don't think the coaches really tell the players, well, we got to win by 2 or we lose by 4 or whatever the case may be, but the coaching staff definitely knows what the plus minuses are, and when they're in a tight game, they'll know whether to gamble and perhaps try for, if you're going to lose by 1, or I should say, if you're going to lose by 3, let's say, and that'll put you out, but losing by 2 will put you in, then maybe you gamble and try to get that extra try. So
it's you've already got enough to think about in the game, and then that little extra on the brain.
I don't think that's a good idea to tell the players about that, although I'm sure the players have all got spreadsheets on their smartphones and have kind of figured it out.
So the Germans discussing a little strategies. We'd like to say thanks to a few sponsors. The Richmond Olympic Oval, of course, and you've got the Richmond Sport Hosting, and we've got the 2 hotels, which is the Vancouver Airport and the Sheraton, which have done a great job in helping out the athletes as well, and especially House Lager. I haven't had it myself, but I'm sure if you have, Tim, you'd be able to enlighten me on how it tastes.
I'll have a full report as the tournament progresses.
Helps starting for the ball with the Germans, quickly trying to get some offense, and that's exactly what he does.
So you can see now that would have been a 1-try game had they not squandered that opportunity at the end of the second quarter.
Lovgren shortly to Sandberg, and Swedes able to get it ahead. Here's Thomas Hirt. Throws one into backcourt. Jansen angles himself forward and is able to catch that. I almost had to look over my shoulder. I didn't think anyone was there. I had to lean right in to see that one. Helps back the other way. 3 Swedes waiting in the key in defensive posture, and Jansen coming from backcourt. Helps trying to shimmy by. 2 Swedes can't do it. The other side bounces, goes behind him, and finds Vilke. So good job to post up there and wait for the man with speed on the wide side.
So Vilke with the back pick on 13 Janssen becomes the trailer and the recipient of that pass.
Kurt Sandberg, one hand reel, backcourt Jansen, doesn't have forward momentum. Vilke trying to cut him off, does a little bit, but undaunted Jansen's able to put it in. So 1 minute, 1 second in, 32-29 for the Swedes. Swedes swatting at their man, trying to get out backcourt. Looks like he's in a bit of trouble. That's Vecca, and it forces him to take a timeout, I believe.
Well, he was deep in his own zone. Time winding down on that possession clock to get over center. And no prospects to get the ball away, so Vecca wisely calling the timeout.
And they've got a man down here as well, so they only have 1 timeout left now. Let's see how that also plays into things going forward.
Well, certainly when you take a look at wheelchair rugby games in general, typically the team that's in control of the momentum of the game and of the tactics of the game ends up with more timeouts left as the game progresses. And right now, Sweden is sitting pretty with 3 timeouts left.
3-point lead, 3 timeouts left, so overall it's good. And I always remember now that it's kicking in when you hear the Swedish coach. You can always hear him from the sidelines. He's very animated as Vecca is able to put that one in for the Germans.
Well, he was calling for his team to deny the pass, particularly to the number 1 ball handler, Herbst. And great job by Vecca to reel that one in and score the try.
Lovgren hurt. Over the top, fakes it. Oh, and that's a turnover right into Helpst's hands. And he's going to score, so that's a little bit, it looked like he didn't want to do it at first. Pump faked it a couple times, went a little short, but right into the breadbasket of Helpst.
That was an excellent job by Vilke just to clip Sandberg's chair to slow him up enough to make Herbst the hero.
And Hurt is still cursing himself as he comes up court to score.
So a little bit of a break there for Team Germany. We'll see if they can capitalize on it here to draw within 1.
Helps the man, the recipient of that turnover, and he's done a lot of the offensive work at the business end, at least for the Germans, with the tries, and negotiates traffic as Vecca gives him a pick on the near side, but he goes far side to put it in.
The German strategy for the past few times down the court in the full court offense has been to hold back one of the Swedish players, so they end up playing 3-on-3 in the key, which does create quite a bit of space in order to score.
Both teams are really collapsing into the zone defenses now. Sandberg looking to find a hole or a man open. Spins away there from Vecca. One hands it over the top, and it is Hurt on the business end.
And that one almost picked off by Vilke. I thought Sandberg was a little casual on that, but nice grab by Thomas Yert.
Vecca disrupted, but gets a good pick from Vilke. Gets it to his man there and bounces the ball. Helps. Gets a little bit of a pick, but he runs into 3 Swedes, finds a good man over the middle. That's Vecca. Negotiates through a pick.
A nice little pick by Riedel there to allow his teammate to roll in untouched.
Lovgren looking for a short option. Usually it's Sandberg, and then again it is. Helps trying to make Sandberg's life difficult. He does. Forces him to spin. Now he gets a pick from Lovgren. So escaping danger there is here is a man with the ball, but yeah, Sandberg was in a little bit of trouble, but a good job of Lovgren to come back and recognize, and just in the nick of time, the Swedes were able to get out of that one.
And luckily for Yurt, he was just over the center line when he touched that ball, avoiding the 12-second count violation.
Vilka helping him on the other side. Decides to go middle and waits just to the nick of time to get it over the coverage. And that's a great play, and Helps is the benefactor.
It's a lot of fun now. Both coaches screaming instructions to their teams on every single possession. And the intensity picking up here.
Yeah, I think the battle is really starting to form on the defensive end. Is that a turnover? I believe it hit Helps before it went out, so I think it stays a Swedish possession here.
Well, the first signal was a change of possession, but then I think the referees discussed things and figured out that it was still Sweden ball.
Sandberg.
Sweden dodges that one.
Yes, they do. Yurt, Jansen. It's a little bit in front of him, but he looks like he has a decent line. A good job by Becca to cut him off, though, and not make his life easy. Drops it off to Yurt. Over the top, Sandberg. Waits for a play, takes it all the way wide, spins to the inside. Jansen trying to give him a pick. He bounces the ball. Wide side, Yurt. And that'll be a score for the Swedes. A try there, so a
Nice.
2-point game now.
Nice job by Lofgren to set that little back screen on the weak side. And there we see the long cross-court pass.
Riedel
A wide open Yurt.
gets it ahead. Becca to Vilka. At least I'm getting better at my enunciations. That's a tough one to say really quickly, especially when you're not, that's not your native language.
Well, English is a Germanic language, technically, so we should be able to do well on those ones anyway.
Sandberg. What do we have here?
I think the German player was a little bit too close to the end line. Or was it the Swedish player? You have to be a meter away from the end line, and the referees are discussing it. And
Sometimes it's always nice in any sport where when a ref's
It's
not sure, it's good to confer and just make sure that you get the call right.
it's a violation against Sweden, so a big break for Germany here.
Helps. Wide side wheel tries to cut to the inside, but Sandberg and Jansen double teaming him to not let him do that. Tries the other side here, and that's going to work.
And there's the stagger cross pick from Riedel and Vilka, allowing Marco Urbs to wheel in.
Lofgren, Sandberg, Jansen. How many times have we said that today? Quite a few.
Quite a few, absolutely. And on the strength of that violation in the deep court by Sweden, Germany has really closed the gap here.
They have indeed. We've got a tie game here, 36 apiece. So the Swedes with a 3-point lead going into the quarter. It's not even over yet. Now it's tied. Of course, the Swedes do still have 3 timeouts to the Germans 1, so that could play a factor as well.
So that was a coach timeout by Sweden to try to break this momentum swing here, as they did enjoy a 3-try lead, and now that is down to 1. I thought the score was actually 36 or 37-36.
Yeah, they took a while to adjust that last point.
But, nice job by Coach Lebrecht to call the timeout and provide some information to his team tactically, presumably, as they are having a little bit of trouble getting the ball inbounds.
Will be a German ball as Vilka will inbound. Riedel, short pass. He's probably going to get it back, and that's exactly what happens. Vilka surveys. Helps. Little subtle instructions for his offense, and now he picks up some speed through the middle court. Jansen comes at him. Now Sandberg. Nice play into the middle. Vilka looks like he might have rolled on him a bit as he got that into his lap, but he was able to field it. Nice play.
Nice cross pick by Vilka, and he actually slipped that pick and found himself wide open.
Sandberg bounces his 2 Germans are on him, but goes long court there. And that is Yurt. Yes, it is.
Well, the Germans are doing a fine job of keeping these Swedes deep in their own zone on that first inbounds pass, making it very difficult for them to find an open player. That time, Yurt able to spring free.
Both teams are locking each other up on the transition as the Germans are set to inbound. It's Riedel. Vilka is close man, and instead he goes to Helpst. Germans come out 4 wide pass center. Helpst carries, looking for the middle lane, and he gets it. That was really nice. It looked like the Swedes were a little bit slow in deciding what exactly was going to happen, and Helpst took full advantage of that.
It looked like they were getting ready to be picked, and instead, Herbst decides to wheel right through the gap.
Sandberg takes it himself, and he's going to score. But make sure that things are locked up on the defensive end before he does so. .241 to go. The Swedes with a 1-point lead, 39-38, third quarter. Helps back in his own zone, fights off 2 Swedes and gets to center. Is able to beat the heated Jansen, was the last line of defense there.
So in the backcourt, Lofgren has to declare himself the inbounder. But again, Germany doing a great job here. You can see they're keeping the Swedes deep in their own zone on the inbounds pass. Maybe some Zen would help.
Vilka almost rejects it out of Sandberg's hands, but again, he does and a second time, but wow, he does a great job of keeping possession on both occasions and takes it himself. He's so good at, even though he gets the pressure from the side, even when it's rejected, he doesn't really panic. He really trusts himself. So
he's a wily old veteran. Well, not old, he's a wily veteran. I'm old.
Yeah.
He's wily.
Vilka helps. Got Vecka. And that was a nice quick 3-way passing play by the Germans.
So after that little flurry of momentum shift in Germany's directions, after the timeout, things have settled down here.
Sandberg. Working away from Vilka. He's got a stride or 2 on him, so he pulls away, and he will be able to get it in. Oh, he's on his side, and he didn't go over. As apologetically, Herbst is kind of saying, I didn't mean to. I don't know what the call would have been, but he was able to stay.
We've seen some of those called as penalties earlier in the tournament. What looks like an innocent little touch ends up being a penalty. I think Herbst's lucky there.
Now he scores. 1:33 to go, 41-41 tie game, but the Swedes do have possession. Sandberg. Trying to work away from Helps. Lovgren helping him out with a pick. Riedel coming in to try to disrupt things. A nice double team by the Germans, and it's a turnover. Becca able to turn it over, get it to Helps, and that was just a great play by the Germans. Able to pry that one away and turn it over. And now Vilka is able to score. Big play at the kind of tail end of the third quarter. Now the Germans take the lead, 1:12 to go in the third quarter. Sandberg looking off his man, now wheels wide. Jansen opens up a lane for him. He initiates contact with Vilka. Wilka looks like he might have reached in a couple times with aggressive swats.
Well, that's a penalty try. But good job not allowing Sweden to run the clock down to that 55-second mark.
Helps back the other way, gets a nice pick from Becca. So the German bench is really seeing some energy and momentum here. As we're 50.5 seconds to go, a little inside a minute. And Sweden, what can they do with clock? Might they take another timeout, run the clock down and take another timeout? Who knows?
That would be a wise move. Short of a disaster, they should get the last opportunity to score here.
Sandberg taking his time.
And then they will have possession in the fourth quarter. So
taking his time. Not too concerned about doing anything but bouncing the ball. He's in a little trouble though. He's going to have to bounce it soon. Now he's going to call the timeout. No. He's going to take it down as much as he can.
Anything
There we
under
go.
15, and he's good because they'll get a new 15.
So it does come in handy as it did in the first quarter. So having those
Although,
timeouts in your back pocket.
You still need to score in that
Yeah.
15 seconds, and we've seen a few times in the tournament when teams have done that and not been able to score.
And what have the Germans been able to do in terms of defensive pressure where the Swedes are trying to break out the ball? We've seen them more aggressive in this quarter than any other.
Absolutely. And causing a couple of turnovers.
Oh, and there's another one. Wow, what a play. Helps able to swat it out of his man's hands. Get it ahead to Vecca. Over to Vilka. And that is some execution right at the buzzer. A huge play by the Germans. Kind of came out of nowhere as they're kind of popping through the energy and kind of the Swedes are getting stuck in static mode. The Germans are taking advantage here. And
Well, like
they've got
I
a
said,
2-point lead.
Barring disaster, Sweden should have gotten that last try. The ball knocked out of Sandberg's hands, and Germany
Especially
scores right at the buzzer.
when you have that timeout too and you think
Take a
everything's
look
in.
at the replay here. Colin tipped away by Herbst. He almost runs over it, manages to pick it up.
We were mentioning Sandberg's ability to fight off the checks. He wasn't able to there. And there's a nice three-way passing play as it's Vecca to Vilka. And look at his excitement. He is loving it. And the Germans very excited. They were able to erase a 3-point lead that the Swedes had to have a 2-point lead of their own. So that is a huge, huge play, especially considering that they already have 3 wins. If they can land this and Sweden with 1 win, that'll all but do it for the Swedes, you got to think.
Absolutely. If Sweden does this, is obviously a must-win situation for Team Sweden. If Germany wins, of course, they will guarantee themselves a spot in one of the qualification matchups.
And if you're on the Sweden bench right now, what are you saying to your players? How do you kind of rally the troops?
Well, you got to light a fire in them. They looked a little bit lackadaisical towards the end of that quarter. I think they thought they had things under control, but Germany with a little bit of aggression on defense, I think kind of surprised them. They weren't really expecting it. And full marks to Germany for defensive pressure.
From here, it almost looked like they were lulling them into a false sense of security. And then when they came out to attack, the Swedes just weren't ready for it.
I mentioned, unfortunately, maybe I jinxed the Swedes, I don't know, but you know, it's nice to call that 15 timeout with 15 seconds left, but you got to be able to score. Sweden a little bit discouraged as you see them wheeling around. They will get first possession though, Colin, and a chance to draw within 1.
Must become close to a necessity here, as it's Sandberg again. The German chance go up a defense. Let's see what they can do. Janssen coming in, but Sandberg decides to hold on to the ball. Comes in the wide side, and a nice pick there, and the Germans
Lofgren, sealed off that right side, leaving a gap large enough by the post for his teammate to roll in.
Up and ahead, Hibbs helps in a little bit of trouble, and that's stolen by Hirt. Anything you can do, I can do better, say the Swedes, and it's Hirt the other way. Now he's aggressively winning on, and that's a timeout. So even though the Germans turn it over, they kind of minimize the damage here by at least forcing the Swedes to take a timeout.
Well, in Sweden, again, we talked about those timeouts early in the game, how it's nice to have a few saved up for later in the game, and that really bailed the Swedes out of a bit of trouble right there, as they have an opportunity here for a little bit of momentum going their way.
Janssen and Sandberg. Fades wide, one hands it. Here it looks like he's in trouble. I'm not sure if that's off a German player. Let's see what happens here.
I think it was. The referees are signaling it's still Sweden ball. So the Swedes here
playing with fire, that's for
really
sure.
Not taking advantage of these gifts that are coming their way.
Sandberg. Spins. Looking for an option. The Germans doing a great job of defense here, but he does find one on the wide side.
So again, that back seal by Lofgren on Riedel. So half-court offense of the Swedes is a bit suspect. They're great on the breakout, but struggling a little bit in the key offense.
Helps trying to break it out. Goes wide on Sandberg, who's frustrated that he lost his man there, and Vilka able to put it in. So the Germans with a 1-score lead. Both teams have used 3 timeouts so far with 1 each remaining.
Looks like a little bit of contact before the whistle. I believe that would have been the second time in this half, so that'll be a turnover now. Big break for Team Germany. And again, Sweden with an unforced error.
Yes, his Helms back the other way now. He's got a lot of traffic to contend with, but he goes over the top, wide side. Vecka. So like you say, the unforced errors of the Swedes now really putting them in a hole. Germans reestablish a 2-point lead. Hard one up ahead. Here, can he get it? Yes, he can.
Well, Sweden desperately needed a quick score just to bring back their confidence. I think they look a little discouraged there, making some mental mistakes, which
like
shouldn't happen with a veteran team.
Looked like they may have had it at the start, but and now they're making life difficult. Nice short bounce pass there. And Vilka up in backcourt is being set up, but that was 2 tremendous short passes and then one over the top long one to get it to him.
Lofgren declares himself the inbounder to get out of trouble. And
Lofgren, Sandberg. Good pressure there as he's double teamed. He's frustrated here. He knows he's running out of time. And it forces him to use his timeout.
Oh,
so again, it seems like the Swedes may be exiting a little early. And then when Sandberg gets double teamed, he's in some trouble here.
So that deep, the way they break that pressure with the deep pass, you know, it's a long way to go to get to the other teams or to get to your try line to score. And it takes a while sometimes. That time, Sandberg made a mistake by turning into Marco Herbst as opposed to going the other way.
Sandberg again with the ball. Spins to the middle, which is cut off. Doesn't have much speed. He's got a man on the wide side here, now locked up. Trying to give him another option. Nice pick by Jansen, opens it up for him. Can't quite get over the goal line though. Near side here, and he's got it.
Boy, oh boy, the Swedish key offense is really static. There's not a lot of movement of players or the ball.
Long one up ahead.
Tough pass inside to Yurt, or to Thomas Yurt.
And that long one up ahead goes well and helps.
So even though they've been trading tries here, Sweden's had to work fairly hard for theirs. Germany coming back the other way, having a relatively easy time of it.
And the Swedes, who at one point had 3 timeouts to the Germans 1, have now used 3 in a row. So
it's Germany with the timeout advantage now heading down the stretch.
Sandberg. Again, every time they have the ball, you hear the German coaches and players urging the defense on. Can they get another stop here? Sandberg trying to wheel in. Riedel making his life difficult. But again, he's able to find some room on the wide side.
Well, nice job by Janssen to run constructive interference.
And this is a little too easy, it seems. This is a few times in a row, it's just one lob pass to Herbst there. It's not even seeming like he's working for it that hard. And how discouraging is that if you're Sweden, knowing that you're working for a point and then coming right back, boom. Yeah, they're not really gaining any forward momentum, at least at the moment. Sandberg. Oh, that's rejected off his hand, and it is a turnover. Again, the Germans with a turnover, and they are loving this as 2 quick passes after the turnover, and helps with the ball, killing as much time as he can before ultimately scoring, and that's a penalty goal. But again, that's just great pressure. I believe it was Riedel and Vilka back in the defensive end that forced the turnover.
Yeah, we just saw the replay there, and Sweden's offense, again, very, very static, making it easy for Germany to swat at the ball.
Long pass up ahead for Sandberg. Quick score, but again, Swedes in a little bit of trouble here, down by 2, and it's German possession, 4:40 to go. in the final quarter, and the Swedes needing a win here. That one was good pressure by the Swedes, making their life difficult, but they're able to beat the Heat for the moment, and they use their last timeout here.
Well, finally a little bit of intensity on defense from Team Sweden as they force Germany to call their final timeout. So down the stretch here, nobody's going to have that advantage. Sweden, however, is going to need a little bit more than that as they're down by 2. And time right now, not really a major factor, but in a minute or two, it will become a deciding factor.
Helpst announcing what he wants as Sweden's fully collapsed in the zone defense. He's got a lane here and uses it. Again, a little unsure by the Swedes on defense what was going to happen, and they all kind of got caught in no man's land.
Well, the Germans' attack has multiple options, and that option that time was for Herbst to roll straight in.
Here, Sandberg trying to get some quick offense here.
Not quite sure what that call was.
Looks like it's a Swedish ball on the
Be
sideline.
a penalty to Germany.
I've never seen more than one penalty at a time, though.
There was a game when one of yesterday's games. There were 3 players in the penalty box, 2 from one team and 1 from the other. I've never seen a 3-on-2.
You can never go down more than 2, though, can you?
I don't think so. But
Yeah.
there's only enough room in the penalty box for 2 athletes. So
Yeah. 4:05 to go here, fourth quarter. Germans up by 3 now, but it's a Swedish ball in the offensive zone. Sandberg working hard for it, and into the game for the Swedes is Hildebrand. Haven't seen much of him. This is his first foray into the game, so we'll see if new blood can spark the Swedes here late.
well, Hildebrand has a little bit more range on the inbound pass, so he'll take Lofgren's spot, and we'll see if that gives Sweden an easier time breaking the press.
A little bit of a tough play in coverage, but the Germans are able to beat the Heat and get to Wilke. The German coaches are loving that. As you can see their intensity on their faces on the bench. They know what's at stake here, and every little play matters as it really gets down to the nitty-gritty here. Sandberg, Hirt, looking for Hildebrand. Little bit dicey there, but he's able to reel it in.
Great defensive pressure by Sweden last time. Germany able to get out of it. Here we go again.
Wilke. De Wecke. And Wilke, number 5 for the Germans, has been a tremendously impressive player. Like I say, never seen the team play, but he's made a couple defensive plays. His intensity's good. His passes are really crisp. Is Hirt. Converts there. 3:02 to go. Still a 2-point lead for the Germans. 53-51.
Sweden definitely needing a turnover here, and with the Class 2s inbounding the ball, they've got a lot of range on their passes, so Sweden's going to have to take that into account as well.
Helps killing a few more seconds before he does score, so 3-point lead with Sweden in possession. Sandberg wheeling up all the way. He's only got 2 men to contend with and makes work of that, but can't score, so good job of the Germans collapsing right at the end, but now they do score to the Swedes.
Well, Sweden desperately needing a turnover as time now becoming a major factor.
And again, it's that one quick lob play to Helps in the backcourt. That one he was contended with a little bit, but the Germans have found something that works for him, that's for sure.
We've seen that about 3 times in a row, and Sandberg there trying to deny that pass to Marco Herbst. Couldn't quite reach it. We'll see if Sweden makes an adjustment on their defense.
Oh, that's a short pass. Rejected out of the hands, but is that going to stay?
It'll be Sweden ball, I think, Colin. But it'll be a corner throw in, which is a little bit tougher.
But again, the Germans showing good up-court pressure on the defense, and again, they are here. Sandberg able to beat the Heat initially. Now another layer of traffic as Wilke trying to contend with him. Gets into the back arms of Hirt, and he finds his man in the backcourt, Jansen.
Well, Hirt receiving that pass at center was alert to get rid of it and maintain his balance as he was about to get hit. And, that very same play a couple of days ago resulted in a few stitches for Thomas Hirt.
Vecka trying to negotiate his way out of backcourt. Pump fakes, rejected a little bit as Sandberg knows he needs a turnover.
Well, the German players making a huge mistake there. They were out of timeouts.
Yeah.
Called one, and that'll be a turnover. So Sweden catching a break. They're going to need a little more than this, but this is a start.
So what do you do there if you don't have a timeout and you don't know what to do? Do
you just throw the ball down the court, so the least they can do is throw it in from 94 feet instead of half that, which, by the way, would be 47.
You're better at math than I am, at least the quick math anyway. Sandberg in the other way finds the wide side. And
he's bumped into the post but crosses the line before that, so Sweden.
One-score game. Is that going to be a costly mistake for the Germans? We'll have a minute and 45 seconds to find that one out. As Helpst, the offensive dynamo, starts from the defensive end, gets over center. Harassed by two Swedes, Hildebrand, Jansen, and Sandberg. Three on him now. He's fighting that one away hard, doesn't have a timeout. Goes over the top to Vilka. Vilka's got a little bit of a lane now. Hirt is picked off and Vilka will score. So a 2-point game, 1:25 to go, and I think it's a coach's timeout for the Germans now.
It will be a coach's timeout as we see good job by the Swedes to be disciplined and not reach in and take a penalty. However, they did not block the pathway of the ball for the pass, so
and even
able to get rid of that ball easily.
Even Helps for the Germans is really coming back in defensive posture now. You know, you can see these guys, the Germans really want it bad and they know what's at stake here. So great energy, I guess, third and fourth quarter for them, and good job of realization in the Swedes offense, and they were able to capitalize on a few times. Of course, we'll see if that timeout comes back to bite them. But they are still ahead by 2, even though it's a Swedish possession here.
So Hildebrand. Germany will fall back on defense.
Sandberg. As you mentioned, they're falling back. He can't find a lane here, so he spins the other way. Wide side, Hildebrand giving him a lane and a pick, but he doesn't like it, so he goes far side. And Hirt is able to roll it in there.
Well, Hirt had positioning on Riedel there, and that was a bullet pass. He was able to hang on.
Vecka. Sandberg pressuring him hard, so he just takes it in. 1:01 to go. 57-55 for the Germans here. Do the Swedes have a miracle comeback in them? Hildebrand, Sandberg.
Well, Germany recognizing that Sweden's having difficulty scoring in the key against the key defense. Fall back.
He comes in for the quick offense there. One-score game, German possession, 55.3 to go. The Swedes need a turnover here. Neither team has a timeout. A lot at stake here for both teams. A couple quick passes by the Germans. Vecka from Vilka. Back to Vilka. And he's going to score, as that was a good three-way passing play, and then a give and go between Vilka and Vecka.
Well, great idea by Sandberg to try to hit the passer and knock him out, knock him off balance when he made the pass. There's no call there, just a player down, but Sandberg came across just a little bit late. That pass actually was a little bit short from, I think it was Vilka to Vecka, but Vecka managing to hang on. And Hirt, in his enthusiasm to get down the court on offense, runs into a couple of German players and ends up on the floor. He'll be back in playing position and ready to go.
So let's see. Not much time left, and they need at least 2 to tie here. Jansen. Sandberg. Time really ticking down as he tries to force his way through the middle. That's not going to work. Backs up, bounces the ball over the top to Hirt. One-score game. They need a turnover bad. 29 seconds to go. Lobbed ahead. And that play that's been working all third and fourth quarter. Whoop, what do we have here?
I think one of the German players was too close to the end line on the inbounds play. And that'll be a turnover. So an incredible incredible rookie mistake for the German team. And an opportunity here for Sweden to tie it up and send it into overtime.
My goodness. 2 costly errors for the Germans here, and the Swedes have been given some serious life. Can the Germans make a stand, or can the Swedes tie the game? We're going to find out as Sandberg has the ball. Bounces it now on the outside. Hildebrand trying to give him a pick. Here does well, helping him out. Sandberg can't find anything. He's going to have to make a play here. Outside. Hildebrand, or here, excuse me, and he does tie it. 3.7 to go, and the Germans are looking for that quick play as the Swedes get back on defense, and we will go to overtime, and promptly so. 2 plays we weren't expecting, and the Swedes, as you can see, breathe a sigh of relief to get this one to overtime. And we didn't really see that one coming, did we, Tim?
I was about to phone that one in there with about 3 minutes to go, and all of a sudden we've got ourselves overtime. First overtime game of the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly won't be the first close game, but definitely first overtime game. And boy, oh boy, that's a mistake by Germany there. They had that one basically wrapped up. Sweden had it wrapped up actually earlier in the game, let it slip away. Germany had it wrapped up, let it slip away.
Yeah.
I guess turnabout is fair play, and it'll all come down to this overtime period.
And embarrassing enough to say, I don't know how the overtime format works, so can you enlighten me and maybe our listeners or watchers a little bit?
Actually, I count on Adam to do that for me, so we're going to have to wait until we see the, maybe someone can text me, wait until we see how much time is up on the clock. I think it's either 3 or 5 minutes.
And it's amazing how when we're watching this game, and you mentioned both teams have had their opportunities, and they kind of come out of nowhere a little bit. So we are in for overtime here. But as I was saying, Tim, it's in both cases of momentum in the third and fourth quarter. First from the Swedes on their offense, you didn't really see it coming in the Germans' attack. For the Germans, it was more costly errors that just kind of came out of nowhere.
So it'll be a 3-minute overtime period. We've had that confirmed by the officials. And if it's still tied, we'll just keep going until somebody wins. We'll take a moment to thank our sponsors here at the end, BC Wheelchair Sports Association, Wheelchair Rugby Canada, International Wheelchair Rugby Federation, the province of BC, the government of British Columbia, Richmond Sport Hosting, and the Richmond Olympic Oval, a beautiful facility here. You can see the signage on the end line as we head into overtime, Colin.
And there's the tip-off. The Germans able to win it as Heps came from his backside to knock it loose.
And, Germany with the first possession of the overtime period. Not a lot of time, 3 minutes. So every single possession counts, and the first one is particularly important.
Wilke to Herbst. Wilke giving him a pick now, opens himself up, and actually goes to Vecca. And he's able to score. One team, of course, is each given a timeout, so those are refreshed as the Germans draw first blood here in overtime. Sandberg, the inbounder on this play. Hildebrand just touches it back to him, a little bit risky there, but they get away with it.
We just barely made it in bounds.
Hirt, Jansen, and it's an even game here.
So even though the score is tied with this short a time, the advantage, of course, is to the team that had that first possession, and that is Germany. However, we'll wait and see what happens around that 55-second mark as to who has the ball.
Helps, gets it on the inbound. He's got two Swedes to contend with. Gets a pick from Wilke. Now comes wide side. Over to the top to Vecca. Fighting off Jansen as he leans forward to score. Hildebrand inbounds on this play. Short to Sandberg, had to reach up. Again, their inbounds are a little bit dicey. They're getting away with them here, but Hirt, Hildebrand with him, takes contact but gets over center. Now pressured him from behind. And he still gets it to Sandberg.
So a bit of a dangerous play by Sweden, dribbling out of their own end, just crossing the center line in time there. I took a look at the possession clock and it was nearly 12 seconds.
Helpst gets the ball on a few quick passes, and again the Germans executing that quick play out of their own end, able to convert. Sandberg working his way out of backcourt, pressured pretty hard, but is able to find a middle lane through the picks. He's reached in on by Helpst, slows him down, but comes over the top to Jansen, who anticipates that contact hard, and he's got two Germans on him. They want that ball. And they're saying it's a Sweden ball, even though
well, Team Germany, as soon as they saw Jansen with the ball, decided to triple team him. Sandberg got in there right away, tried to take the handoff, but as he was doing that, Janssen's chair spun backwards. Unfortunately for Team Germany,
Wilke doesn't like it, but he's in the box here.
Wilke whacked Jansen on the arm and will head to the penalty box.
So Germans with a 1 point lead, Swedes with the ball, 1:20 to go in the first overtime. Tie game now. Bilka out of the box, set to inbound. He does and gets it back. Over the top with a quick pass. Helpst usually takes it more down court, but does a couple of shifts to get it there himself this time. Jansen, Hildebrand trying to slow him up, and they do a little bit, but he's able to fight his way through. Bounces the ball near the goal line and eventually takes it in. 57.8 to go. And Swedes are behind by 1. They've been in this situation before, and we're able to pull it out as Sandberg back the other way. Jansen wheels on it. Yes, he does. 43.7 to go. Tie game.
So Germany, if they play their cards right, nice job by Jansen to wheel onto this one, will get the last possession. We'll see what the strategy is as Marco Herbst looks over to the bench and asks for direction.
He wanted them. I don't know what he got back, but now he's contending with two Swedes in his back pocket. Wilke trying to help him out. Goes back pocket to Vecca. Delays. Goes back to Helpst. Just trying to eat that clock, as you mentioned, 18 to go. Tie game. Germans in possession, trying to take as much time as they can. They use their one timeout. 13.9 to go.
Well, that's an interesting strategy right there, because the Germans actually had 22 Thomas Yurt tied up and double teamed, so he would have been unable to go deep for one of those long bombs.
Wilke, Helpst.
And now Sweden gets a chance.
10 seconds to go. Helpst trying to get in, can't do it. He's reaching on by Hildebrand and Sandberg, but he's able to score. So the Germans have a lead. Can the Swedes make one last play? 3.3 to go. Almost intercepted by the Germans, who has the ball. The time's ticking away, and the Germans will come away with the victory. A last stand, and they are loving it here at the Richmond Olympic Oval. A game we didn't think was going to overtime gets there. The Germans may have been kicking themselves had they lost this one, but they are able to pull it out in overtime in a thriller game. It was very systematic, but there was a lot of interest near the end, and eventually the Germans do pull it out.
Well, Germany definitely a little bit smarter at the end of that overtime period, as soon as they scored, all three of them, or all four of them, headed back on defense to prevent that long bomb. And we've seen Sweden score that way 3 or 4 times this tournament at the end of the clock. And so the Germans obviously did a great job of defending it. And what a game. And
that all pretty much does it for the Swedes, only having that one win, and now they're 1-4. So that could pretty much write their script, as Canada, France are already in. Colombia had a win earlier, and now Germany has their 4th win. So impromptu, as you mentioned there, world ranking maybe it wasn't as high as their results have shown, but that's, as we mentioned, the game's now played on paper, and so far the Germans have shown smart aggression, and they were really in that competitive edge. When they realized the game was on the line, they brought it to another level, in my opinion. And even though they almost coughed it up by a few rookie mistakes late, it didn't really deter them in their strategy, and they were able to reestablish that effective play and ultimately cross this one over the finish line.
So great job by Team Germany to guarantee themselves a spot in the top 4, so they will play Sunday for sure. Not sure about Sweden. I don't know if any other teams can end up 1-4 in that 4th place spot. It doesn't really look like it, as Team Colombia has 2 wins already. But there are still games to play for Sweden as we look at the schedule here. Upcoming at 2 o'clock on sportscanada.tv. Also cbcsports.ca will be France versus Canada. Switzerland will play Colombia at 4 o'clock. And then Sweden will round out play with their final game against Brazil. And they should win that one.
Yes.
Because Brazil is winless at 0-5.
But Brazil is still a spunky bunch.
So should Switzerland beat Colombia and Sweden beat Brazil, we could have a 3-way tie for that final spot, and then it'll come down
Goal
to
differential.
a goal differential. So we'll have to wait that one out.
In any event, we've had a thrilling one here. Hope you can stick around for Canada's game as they are playing France, the 2 top dogs of this tournament by far. And we will see you back on this court very soon here in about half an hour. For Tim Frick, I'm Colin Emerson signing off.